What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Tech NFL DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am joined by one of the original OGs of OGs. Talk about Patio Joe. You can find on Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. As soon as I fix this on the YouTube, forgot to switch it from Paulie last week. Paulie's actually down in just me and Joe today. Last week, Joey was in Vegas. This week, Paulie's in Aruba. Everybody gets to do fun shit but me because I just had a baby. So that's how that goes. And Paulie ended up, he was supposed to be on the show. He ended up hitting the freaking like 3 diamonds or some shit on a slot machine. And he won like 1,500 and decided to stay another night. And I'm like, you know what, Paulie? You won, like 30, 40 some K in baseball. Probably more than that collectively over the season. You deserve an extra day, my man. Don't even worry about it. Don't even sweat it. That being said, Joey's back from Vegas. He's alive. He's in one piece. Hallelujah, holla back. How was Vegas, Joe?
Vegas was good. It was a fun time. You know, we partied. I did like a kind of like not a high stakes league, but like a mid stakes league that was live. It was in one of the suites at the MGM Grand, so that was fun. And you know, just had a good time. It was Vegas with masks on, so it was a little weird, but you know, it was fun. And then but yeah, no, last week I was around, but like I had plans with stuff, and then I had to be dad because my wife was out of town and I had all 3 kids and one of them was sick. And when one of them's sick, you know, it's just bad.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to deal with last week.
Definitely learned.
But yeah, Paulie texted saying he was winning in Aruba, so good luck to Paulie. And winning as always, it's awesome. And it would be, it'd be nice to have the type of life where, like, you know what, we're just gonna stay another day. This is no problem. We don't have any kids, no nothing. And we just stay another day.
You know? Yeah, it must be nice. He's living that life, Paulie D. Envious. I mean, it is what it is, man. That's how the D gets down. But yeah. Would be nice. I don't see myself going on a vacation anytime soon at all. So I'm sure at some point, as my baby gets older, I'll be like, okay, well, I can see it now. But as of right now, I can't even see that shit. Let alone going to Aruba. Sounds wonderful though. Sounds wonderful. Shout out to Paulie D. Okay, so last week we tried something new, and me and Paulie decided to just build a team on FanDuel and DraftKings. No particular, like we're just trying to build a good team. Tournament counts don't really matter. We're not really getting into that. We're just gonna try to build a good team just based off of plays we like, whether they be cash game plays, tournament plays, whatever. Just plays we think on our early look. I don't want to say first look because I did glance at it, but I mean, come on, it's Thursday morning, Wednesday night, depending on what time you're watching this. So, or depending on what coast you live in, right, Joey? Mm-hmm. So we'll go ahead and get into it. We're gonna start off with DraftKings. Last week we know Joe. Last week we know the what do you call it? Henry, right? There was a few players you had to have. Henry was one of those guys. Cooper Kupp, the Cooper Kupp I was kicking myself for, man, because it was very clear with what Tyler Lockett did to him the week before that they had an issue covering the slot. Like, it was very clear, and unfortunately, I was like on it, kind of like let myself slip off of it. That was a bummer. But the Henry thing, it's like, hey, I mean. That was just, Henry being Henry, doing what he does. And I know like that was probably the lone reason I think that we're not talking to 2-0 Joe, talking to 1-1 Joe, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote him up. He was one of the 2 pay-up options, but I wanted to spend more on the receiver side, so it just didn't work out that way. So, it is what it is. We on the next week. So
100%.
Yeah.
And that being said, we'll get started, man. So we're gonna build a team. We can start with running back. We can start with a stack, whatever you're thinking, Joe. Tell me what you're thinking. Is there a play that kind of stood out to you in general, and we can kind of build around that?
I mean, what I'm looking for on DK is a little bit more of a value at quarterback. So to me, of the 3 games that stick out that maybe we want a piece of, the Minnesota Seattle, the game between the Chargers and the Chiefs, and the Buccaneers and the Rams. I actually like Matt Stafford at 6,400 to be like a building piece on DK. Of all those quarterbacks, he's priced $100 more than Kirk Cousins. And I just think that like there's more of a shootout potential, back and forth type game between the Rams and the Bucks. We saw what the Bucks and the Cowboys did week 1, and I could see a game very similar to this. So having Stafford at that price, like Mahomes and even Herbert 6,500, I don't mind that either. But like Mahomes is 82. That's just too much on FanDuel on DraftKings, and so is Russ. I think we're gonna save the money somewhere else. So I like Stafford as my QB to start off with, and maybe we can build around that.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, I'm in the same range regardless, like the general area. I mean, Herbert obviously stands out. We expect him to be. I would assume he's going to be popular on DraftKings, Kansas City, etc., etc. I think Stafford's an interesting pivot. And why not, man? He's looked good. He's looked real good. He's playing with he's playing for his buddy, right? His coach. I think they're best buds or something along them lines. And Tampa Bay, we've seen the defense be vulnerable. I mean, in that game against Atlanta, that was close until like the last 2 series, really. Right? It was like the last 2 possessions for Atlanta. They had like quick turnovers. So yeah, I got no problems with that at all. The question is, who are we going to pair him with? Cooper Kupp obviously went out and did his thing. I would assume he gets some love, but this is Tampa Bay, a little bit of a different team. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, but Tampa Bay has his issues at corner. There's no Sean Murphy-Bunting. He's out. He's on IR. I know Carlton Davis was hurt last week. I don't know their status going into this week. Price-wise, I feel like, chalk-wise, everybody's going to go to Kupp. And so if you get moved down to Robert Woods, who's 5,700, I think you're going to get way less ownership, and you can still get one of his receivers who can break out just as easily as Kupp has. So I don't mind pairing him with Robert Woods.
I like it.
That's what I think.
I like it, man. This kind of like zig when everybody else zags. Cooper Kupp a lot more expensive. Woods did have 9 targets against the Colts, and this could be a matchup that better suits Woods, right? Like we know the Colts were being exploited through the slot. We saw that happen with Lockett. We saw it happen with Kupp. Tampa Bay, their MO. Now I'm not even talking about this year. Just in general, the MO has been the deep ball, right? Like the guys can get beat by speed. So I definitely think Robert Woods is a very interesting pivot if you are going that route, taking advantage of the 5-7, kind of buying low. I'm with that. Now, if this was if we were like, no, this is definitely a tournament team, and you were looking for a triple stack, I'm just gonna throw this out there. We don't have to use him for this example, but Tyler Higbee is an interesting way to go. Also, only got 1 target against the Colts, mind you, but did get 6 against Chicago. Only 4K. That could be an interesting, like you said, to kind of go around Cooper Kupp and still getting like that upside. Just throwing that out there. But I'm good with the Stafford Woods for now. Why don't we look for a running back? Do you got somebody in mind, Joe?
Running back on DK, you're going to have to – I don't think Henry is just 8,600. I like the fact that he's getting more targets and such. I don't mind that. I think we're going to have to find some sort of a value running back at this point. It's tough because there's so many question marks this beginning of the week. I don't mind going back to the well in somebody like Kenyon Drake just to get in value, or you can get the other part of this game if you think that it's going to be back and forth. A guy like Leonard Fournette at 5,000 isn't bad either. I don't even mind Gio Bernard if you were going to go with a game stack because he's really cheap. And if you think this is going to be more of a back and forth type of game, maybe Tampa's playing from behind, you're going to have more of a Gio game throwing out of the backfield with Brady. What do you think about that?
So I like the idea of getting at least one value guy down here. And I mean, all these guys are fine for tournaments, right? Guys like the guys you mentioned, Tampa Bay guys, for GPPs. The guy that kind of stood out to me, and I'll probably get trolled for this somewhere, if not by you or Paulie, then somewhere on Twitter. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man, is 4,800 over here. It offers you an opportunity to get exposure to that game. And listen, it's not the best matchup in the world, right? I think the Chargers defense I do respect, but they are at home. He's gotten 14 and 13 rushing attempts, right? And while he didn't get any targets against Baltimore, he got 3 against Cleveland. And again, like just from 14 carries, 43 yards, which is not good, averaging 3.1 yards per carry. Just 3 receptions on 3 targets for 29. He put up 10 points. Now he's 48. If he gives you 10 points, you're not even dead. Like if that's like a, don't get me wrong, I know Baltimore was kind of a floor game, but I think we expect to see some high scoring. I think there's a possibility Kansas City, or probably a good likelihood Kansas City plays from ahead. And if that's the case, he can continue to get fed. And so you tell me, what are your thoughts on CEH at 4,800 if we're going to pay down?
Well, I feel like this is his last
right?
shot. I mean, he's playing a team that gave up like 200 yards last week, the Chargers.
That's right. Zeke and Pollard just destroyed him. You're right. Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about this. I try not to think about this year too much because it's so. But yeah, you're right.
We had Pollard. We had Zeke, both just running all over the Chargers. So, and I feel like the narrative in the media is that he's going to get his spot taken away and what have you. So if you have, it's like almost like a very, you know what I mean? It's a good correlation. You could still have a part of this game. You could stack him with one of the Chargers receivers, and you can almost have like you're stacking these 2 games as your lineup. I don't mind it. Let's put him in there.
Let's do it. I'm with it. I wasn't sure the kind of reaction I was going to get for that one. I've seen people shitting all over him. And I understand it. Like, people who drafted him thought they were getting like a, first round type caliber running back, and that's not what he's been. But listen, he's getting fed. He's getting the ball. Maybe he's not getting the targets that we're looking for, but he's still getting opportunities. He's getting double-digit carries in 2 straight games. And that's a great point. I wasn't even thinking about this here, but you're right. The Cowboys, they ran all over him. All right, so we got Stafford, CEH, Woods. Do you want to get a defense out the way? Like, for these examples, just kind of, we can just go for a price one. Unless there's a defense you have in mind, we can just find somebody that's like a middling price and just settle for it, just so we know how much we're working with.
Here's what I would go right now. I don't think Carson Wentz is going to play with his 2 ankles being what they are. We got Tennessee at home against Indy and probably Jacob Eason at 2,400 on DK. Yeah. Right now, I feel like that's the best defense at the cheapest at home.
Point per dollar.
Against a rookie. Everything else, I mean, yeah, I would want Denver, but we could save $2,000 and get maybe the same type of upside against Easton's not a rookie, but you get my point. He's a second-year player who's never started a game.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it.
So I feel like let's lighten the tight.
I'm good with it under the assumption Wentz is out. And it's funny because when you were talking about Henry, that was one of the things that was going on in my mind. I'm like, well, this, as far as the targets go, he may not get the targets in this game because there's a possibility that the Colts may struggle on offense. However, if that's the case, there's also a possibility he can get fed a ton on the ground game if they're up and the defense is playing well and all that kind of stuff. But that being said, Joe, you pick. We got running back, receiver, tight end, flex open. Where do you want to start next?
Well, I mean, it depends on where we want to go. If we want to do like a game stack and such.
They could bring back, yeah. We definitely got to get a bring back somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind either going with Rob Gronkowski at tight end or Chris Godwin. Those would be my 2 guys because AB is going to be out. So one of those guys are going to feast.
Yeah.
Because AB's on the COVID list. So he's probably not going to play, even though there is a small chance that he's going to play. There's a small chance he can play, but I don't think he is. So I think that either we go Chris Godwin and Jared Cook at tight end or Mike Williams and Rob Gronkowski. What would you want?
I wasn't expecting that. Oh, okay. You gave me the 2v2. Oh, man, that's tough.
You see what I'm saying? Because we got CH and we got Woods. You know what I'm saying? We have the correlation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would prefer going with Godwin and Cook.
Let's start with that because I definitely I want Godwin, right? It's the Rams. They're at least a competent defense. Gronk was super efficient against Atlanta. He's gotten 4 touchdowns. At some point, maybe it's too early to start banking on this, but at some point, touchdown regression is going. He's not going to get 2 touchdowns every damn game, and that's not a great reason to not play someone. But for game theory purposes, it's just another excuse to kind of talk yourself into something else. And I expect Gronk to get some love, even at 5.5 this week, because of how hot he's been. So I'm good with that, man. We'll go Godwin, and then you were saying Cook as another correlation, as another bring back type with CEH. Let's do it.
And then we got almost 7,000 left to play with. We could get, Dalvin Cook if we wanted to, and still work him in, work somewhere else in, because he's facing this same Seahawks defense that got trampled on 2 weeks ago, or last week against Henry. So we could go there. I'm really not into Kamara this week. I feel like that's the one guy that's going to be shut down. Now, if Cook weren't to play, DK already priced up Madison's price, which I think they've priced him out.
6K, yeah.
It depends on which way we want to go. I don't mind the DeAndre Swift route. I think he's very enticing. I also don't mind going with Mr. Barkley. There's the narrative out there that this is going to be his breakout week against the Falcons. Looking at running back, it's pretty much open. We can put whoever we want in. What do you think?
I mean, listen, I like what you said a lot, right? Like if Dalvin Cook is in, he's only 8,400, and exactly, we just saw Henry go out there and just destroy these guys, and Cook's gotten over 20 carries in 2 straight games. He had 7 targets against Cincinnati. Everything looks great. I'm good with Cook. But and I think in like the cash game scenario, I'd probably I'd just suck it up and go with Cook or Henry, one of those two. But I think that, I mean, I like the idea of Saquon, man. I do. 6,500 against Atlanta. He's got this little Q tag, which we know he's had that every week. He played 84% of the snaps against Washington. This team has had 10 days, right? They played on Thursday Night Football. They've had extra days rest. They're at home. Saquon got 10 carries against Denver, a game with they were losing that game, correct? Like the whole game, right? They were trailing, and then a shootout in Washington. He only got 3 targets, but 13 carries. So if it's breakout, it's coming now. And like Saquon Barkley, 6,500. This is his rookie year, you didn't see this shit. So I like that. If you're cool with that, I say let's roll with Saquon and get funky.
I do. I like that.
Sucks. Outside of that, it's bad. It's like you're looking at it, it's not great. That's why it was easy for me to stomach CEH, because I'm like, for what? Like if not, what am I? Don't get me wrong. I think you can make a case. I think Chubb could be interesting because we know he gets fed in Chicago. Maybe starting Fields, so we could see him get a lot of opportunities. So it's like there's plays. It's just there's nothing that I feel like, I gotta have this. So why not take a shot? 7,100 remaining per player. We got a receiver and a flex, Joe.
Receiver, the one receiver that keeps standing out to me this week, and I don't know, it's not even a pay up option, but I just love Courtland Sutton going up against your Jets. The corner that's going to be taking him on, he's got a 3-inch height difference on him. I just feel like in the first game of the season, he's the one guy that sticks out to me. I know he's a little bit less pricier, but that would give us, if we were to just lock him in there for a second, that would give us, how much is his price? He's like 5,900.
Son.
He's 6K. So that would give us, 8,200 we'd almost have any receiver we want. We could get D-Hop, Diggs, Lockett, Metcalf, then move up from somewhere else if we like. Kind of shows you what we're at. If we wanted to, I don't think that this is the week to there's another running back that really stands out unless you just want to lock in, like I said, Dalvin Cook in the flex spot, and then we still have 5,800. There's still a ton of receivers at 5,800 we could go for and eat the chalk. I just don't know if that's the correct build at this point. If we're going with 4 receivers.
Yeah, I saw in tournaments, like I know one thing that like Paulie's been big on is playing a receiver in the flex, and I totally understand his logic for that, right? That's the way the game is going. Like it's more boom or bust. Maybe running backs, they're gonna get their carries, they're gonna get their touches for the most part. Receivers, you have no idea because it takes two, right? You can get 12 targets if you only catch two of them. What good is it? But it seems like the receivers nowadays are more likely to go for that 40. Right? There's more of them that could do that rather than your one or two running backs a week who are going to do it. So I have no problem putting a receiver in the flex. If we were to go at the same time, assuming Dalvin Cook is playing, if we do plug him in there and go to a more traditional route and get that running back, which may not be a bad idea to get some stability, right? Like we consider him somewhat of a safe, like high floor type play, simply because we know he's going to get over 20 carries, right? Barkley, we have no idea. CEH, we have no idea. So I don't hate the idea, at least in this example, of getting some stability. But my point is, I do also like I try to be conscious and think like maybe I should try to get that extra receiver in the flex. And I think this could be a receiver in the flex type of week. Like any week really is, because running back I don't think is too strong. But
all right, I got something for you. How about Jefferson and Ridley? That would give us with zero money left on the table if we locked in Jefferson and Ridley. Ridley, you have the correlation with Barkley. Jefferson, you just have a standalone saying he's going to burn that secondary.
All right, let's see. The hell is Ridley? Which Ridley should burn that secondary. I mean, he definitely should.
I mean, McLaurin did.
Yeah, it's true. McLaurin did. Well, again, if here he is. Okay, 7K. Okay. And then you said Jefferson, right? I'm good with that. See, this is kind of like that news shit, right? Because I especially like this lineup if we find out that Cook is out, right? Because then we're getting like Jefferson. We expect him to get more usage. On the flip side, if Cook is in, I don't hate. This is all hypothetical. We have a lot of news we're waiting for. Say Deontay Johnson is out and Cook is in. Then we can go the Dalvin Cook, Chase Claypool. So there's a couple ways we can go. I like it. For this scenario, we'll just click Jefferson just to make it look complete. But I like it, man. Good to get it thinking. Obviously, in this example, we paid down the tight end, which seems like it does so much for you, right? Like it really does. Like it'd be nice to get Kelsey in a game stacks tournaments. We can take those chances, but I like it. I like it. I don't know why my computer's acting funky, but we're gonna move on to FanDuel. Okay, let's go over to FanDuel. Make it happen. Wow, it's DraftKings being weird on my computer anyway. All right, you want to do something different? Or you want to start with the same stack?
No, let's do something different here. Let's do, because you can spend more money. It's a little bit,
right?
Like it's not a big deal. I want to go ham if I'm gonna do this one, and I want to go with my boy Russ. Let's start with Russ at quarterback, and I'm gonna still pair him with DK. He got 11 targets last week, guys. So like everybody's like, Lockett is breaking out, and he's doing great, but like still, he's $8,000. I think that I just don't think he can keep it up. That's my thing. I feel like DK Metcalf at a lower price at 7,200, he's like ready to have like just a huge game. It's there. It's sitting there with you.
I mean, I didn't I didn't realize he was. Is it like that on DraftKings too? Is Lockett more expensive?
They're more
$100 apart. Okay, yeah. That's wild.
But on FanDuel, like they're
massive.
Further apart.
That's a massive. I'm totally good with that. I mean, obviously, any Russ team I'm fine with, and if I'm playing Russ, like if I play Lockett, now granted, Lockett did win me a lot of money last year. He was part of that $15,000 lineup, but I'm gonna go Metcalf 9 times out of 10, right? I used Lockett in that bill because it was a Kyler Murray stack. That was the game, Arizona-Seattle, and the only reason I used Lockett is because that was all I could afford. That's just the truth. It wasn't no like. He exploded that game. It wasn't no like, oh, I was on it. It was just like I wanted that game. I liked everything else I had. I just needed a piece and he fit. But if I have the choice, I'm gonna pick Metcalf, especially if you tell me Metcalf is cheaper. 100%. So who's the Minnesota bring back? Do you like Jefferson in this example, or you want to go to Cook?
I mean, you could also just go for Thielen.
Yeah,
too.
you definitely can go for Thielen.
I mean, he's scored more points the last few days, and then you could also get a little bit and get KJ Osborne.
Yeah, man. Me and Paulie had him in our dummy lineup last week, and like he ended up not making any of my teams, which was still don't understand how that happened. But hey, man, he's a number 3. He's a live number 3, especially if Cook is out. And this, because I agree with you. I think if Cook is out, I don't think they're gonna be able to run the ball as effectively, and so they're gonna have to throw more. So that's live. How much is he over? The thing is, to me, he's just more of a DraftKings play because the price is usually low, and then the PPR thing. Like as far as touchdowns go, you just feel like you want Jefferson or Thielen, especially on FanDuel where you can usually afford those guys.
He's 5,100.
51.
So he's pretty cheap.
Yeah. That could help.
But
what if we went with him and Dalvin, like together?
Him and Dalvin together.
You know, like that. Well, I guess not, right? Because we just talked about the example of like if Dalvin was out, that increases his value. So do we want to just like pretend as if he's out? We can do what we want. It's you know what I mean? Like it's our show.
I would want to put let's put Dalvin Cook in there right now. Right. I mean, the thing is that it really he's 9,500. He really cuts down.
Your ability. So then let's meet in the middle and go with Thielen or we meet in the middle. Go with one of Thielen or Jefferson. Which one you want?
Let's just go with Jefferson.
We'll go with Jefferson.
I think he has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
You know.
Where is his at?
They're gonna want to put on a show together, him and DK. So
yeah, man.
Moving down to defense, just to kind of like get our parameters. So you see, look, here's the biggest price difference. Tennessee defense is 4,500 on FanDuel and it's 2,400 on DK.
Putting some respect on thy name.
That's like lock button on DK at that point. Just the price difference alone, it shows you that they're valuing their defense way more. I would probably go with right now, without going too low. I'm gonna go with the Raiders actually. Oof. Against Miami at 4K with Brissett starting. I'll take that.
Yeah,
that's probably the best value that we have on the board.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Miami going out west. Let's do it. Let's just plug it. Let's plug it and keep it rolling. So what running back we going with, Joe?
Running back on FanDuel is different. Is tough this week. There's really not one that like just stands out to me that like you must have. It's in a great spot because Henry, you can either pay up for Henry, eat the chalk because that's where everybody's going to go, and then we have Cook as we already talked about. We don't really want to go there. I don't think. I just don't think. I'm not into it. I love somebody like, maybe at this point, Austin Eckler at 7K, half point PPR slate. We're getting part of that other game that we like. He's getting most of the carries. He's also got I think he got 7 or 8 targets last game. I think they're going to be able to run. I think you're going to need him more. So I like Eckler at 7K.
I'm good. I'm good with it. I would have been fine with him on DraftKings too at 7-2. So I got no problems with Eckler at all. I'm good.
I think he's a little bit more of a value on FanDuel at 7K.
Yeah. The way the pricing is. Yeah, I mean, DraftKings, you're talking about like Dalvin Cook being 8.3. He's 9.5 over here. That's his perspective, right? Do you want to go with another running back, or should we pick another receiver or tight end? What are you thinking?
I want to go with another running back, and this is more of just a gut play. I'm just thinking that this is going to be his week that he breaks out. He's got a good matchup. He's at home. The rookie Javonte Williams at 5,800.
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I'm good with it. I got no issues. The Jets' defense has not been great. We saw So the Jets for years, right? Like over the last few years anyway, their secondary's been awful. The running game's been decent. But we've seen 2 weeks in a row now. I think Harris broke a long ass. Damian Harris. He didn't have the best of games, but he did all right, right? And he broke a long ass run. And I think, and then we saw what C-Mac did to him. So I think what it comes down to is the running backs, because of how bad the Jets' offense is right now, they're just getting so much volume. They're getting so many opportunities. Everybody gets an opportunity to break a Derrick Henry run. Because when you're getting fed the rock, 30% more than usual because you're playing a shitty team who can't score. Hey, I'm with it, man. 14 carries against the Giants, 13 against the Jags. Yeah, I mean, they're at home, right? The altitude, first game at home too. I got no problems with it. On FanDuel, that's cheap, and that's what you're looking for. He's not a guy we're expecting a ton of targets for, but he's a guy that we expect to get some red zone carries, right? Touchdown hunting,
and his carries are going up. Everything he's just playing better on a per play basis than Melvin Gordon, and it's the breakout's going to happen eventually. And this
let's do it. I'm fine with it. FanDuel will cooperate and put him in a damn team. Okay, we're tight end.
Tight end, to me, it's going to be tough to get off of Hawkinson. I really think he's probably going to be the chalkiest tight end on the slate. Week 1, the Ravens faced Darren Waller, who they gave up 20 targets to Waller. Week 2, they faced Kansas City, and they had Kelsey, and they gave up 109 and a touchdown to Kelsey. Now, week 3, they got Hawkinson. They probably have the 3 best tight ends in the league. First 3 weeks out of the gate. To me, this is my cash game sense going out, but to me, I just feel like he's pretty safe. 6,300, not a bad price. You don't have to pay 8,500 or 7,400 to get the upside of Kelsey and Waller. You can do it at 6,300 with Hawkinson.
Yeah, I mean, I know golf likes this dude. They're talking about, even Hawkinson was saying, when they asked him about the difference, Matt Stafford and, the trade with golf, and he was like, well, I mean, he's closer to my age and, all the shit like that. So he seemed excited. 9 targets against Green Bay, 11 targets against San Francisco. I'm good with Hawkinson. I got no problems with him. We can just plug him in and move right along. Receiver and a flex. This is what we got left.
I wouldn't mind either going with one or two options that have a ton of a correlation play. I wouldn't mind either going with Tyreek Hill or Marquise Brown. Now, Marquise Brown his numbers have just been crazy the last 8 games that he's played. He's literally become the receiver that we wanted him to be, that he just wasn't the first half of the season last year. So if you put in Marquise Brown, you have the correlation with Hawkinson. The very beatable defense. Doesn't take much for him to make value. That leaves us 7,300 to pay up for another receiver. With guys like Godwin, not McLaurin, maybe Mike Evans, something like that. Or if we went with Tyreek with the correlation of
Eckler.
Then you have 5,200 your flex, and unfortunately, I don't know if this would work. This would be kind of a little bit too much on. Let me think here. Yeah, let me see. Quintez Cephas is 5,100 too, but he's not. He's 5,300.
Right. No, he didn't fit. So one thing we didn't really discuss too much is the Browns' receiving situation, right? I'm pretty sure Landry's going to be out. Have we heard Beckham's status for this game? I mean, even if he plays,
they say Beckham might be in. Now, another way we could go with tight end is Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
He's been getting a lot of run, and I know he's probably way cheap at 5,300.
53.
That would open up a lot more too.
All right, let's find him. You said he's 53, right?
If you wanted to do something like that, that would leave us with $6,200 in the flex, and then you can have, I mean, guys like Woods, Juju, Mike Williams. So we're going another Charger here.
Why not? How about we go back to Woods and get a little bit of exposure to Woods on FanDuel, right? If we're expecting a big game from Woods, then we're expecting touchdowns. So
let me ask you this though: like, would it be too much to having Eckler, Mike Williams, and Tyreek Hill?
No, not at all. I mean, and it makes sense if you think about it, right? Like, in order for Tyreek to really hit a ceiling, we need the Chargers to kind of push, right? It almost makes more sense. Listen, nothing's ever exact, but like CEH would be like, okay, the Chargers don't do that well, right? And then on the other side, Tyreek Hill, the Chargers offense is playing well, so which allowed Tyreek to get his in. So that's just hypothetical. I have no problem playing CEH in game stacks, and it's like, it's not literal, but yeah, I kind of like that idea. So that would be what, Hill, Woods, and
it would be Hill, Eckler, and Williams.
Right. But I mean, for wide receiver, tight end, flex, I got rid of it. So that was with Hooper, correct?
Yes.
Hooper, which again, like, we're using hypothetics. We know Landry's out, that we know. So it's going to be a boost to the Cleveland offense, but it is a Chicago defense. Not like, some slouchy defense. Pretty decent defense. That game in general is just like not fun. So we're going to use Austin Hooper for this example. And like again, like, who did we say we're not going with Woods? We said we're going Mike Williams, right?
Yeah.
So if we didn't want to go Mike Williams, there was a lot of guys. We can go Robert Woods. We can easily put in Jared Cook instead at 5,300. There's a few ways you can go, but for this example, we're gonna go with the Hooper because I like the Mike Williams little correlation. But yeah, definitely a lot of different ways to go. I like it, man. I mean, I like doing this because it kind of gets your brain thinking. Like, obviously, like, it's early in the week, and we're gonna all do our digging, our due diligence, and by the time our articles come out over the weekend, we'll have our final stances. But I like to do this.
I think it's good because it starts with like our game theory kind of thing. You just kind of like, well, if this has got to happen, this is what's got to go. This is what's got to go right, and this is what we need to have happen.
Right.
So
I kind of always.
I think that's very good correlation.
Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback. I think it is good correlation. We got a lot of good feedback from the format of the show, and I think in my personal, like, if I was listening to the show and I'm new to DFS or whatever it is, like, I feel like it gives you an opportunity to, like, understand why people play the things they're playing, right? Like, it gives you better understanding of, like, what made him do that. Because maybe, like, for instance, I guess, like, maybe, like, Justin Jefferson wouldn't be jumping off the page to me. Not saying he's not, just saying hypothetically. But it makes sense. If I'm playing Seattle, I need somebody. So if I don't like Cook, even if I'm picking a lesser of the, 2 or 3 evils, like, sometimes it could be that. That's how I landed on Tyler Lockett. Again, it wasn't that I liked Tyler Lockett. It was that he was the one that fit, and I wanted the exposure to the game because I had the opposing quarterback stack. So I like it. By the way, Saquon's 6K over here too. Definitely, this is a bunch of ways you can go. There's Mike Williams.
The good thing is that if you lock in Mike Williams in the flex at 6,000, he gives you $200 left. So if you wanted to go up from Jefferson to Thielen and you preferred Thielen, you could because he's 76.
A lot of different ways you can go. You can get to Thielen. With 200 left over, we could get up to Higbee if we wanted to at tight end. So again, just a bunch of different ways to go. All right, that's gonna do it for the lineups. That was cool, Joe. I appreciate it. Before I let you get out of here. We're gonna do our best bet of the week. I know it's early, but hey, we're gonna do it. I'll give you some time to kind of peruse if you need to, and make a decision, if you will.
Mhm.
if you will.
Let's see here. Well, this game. I mean, to me, I might go with just the chalk, but I'm gonna just go with the Rams Tampa over.
Yeah, it's a good looking game. I was just looking at that myself, like, damn. I was just looking at the spread. It looks like the Patriots opened up as 2-point dogs, and now they're 1-point favorites. Now, the public is the one. From what I see, the public is on the Bucks. So I wouldn't be surprised if we seen like some smart money come the other way and just smack on the home dog, because they basically what happened is the home dog was created. So. I'm good with that. I will say this is the first week that I've looked at and I didn't immediately find what I liked. Like I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, it's tough. But I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers. Your Chargers, with a 6.5. Would have loved to have had 7 when it opened. Looks like it's down to 6.5. I'll go with the Chargers. I'll take the points. Don't like betting against Mahomes, but I think that it's a nice little bounce back spot. For your Chargers, Joey, going into hostile territory. This is the 2 biggest games of their season, pretty much of the regular season, right, against one of the best teams in the league. So, I'm gonna pick the Chargers to kind of hang around, and that's how I'm gonna do that.
They always play the Chiefs
right.
Tough.
They do even when they sucked, like they still played the Chiefs tough. That was like super tilting back then.
So, I mean, I think last week's game was weird. The Chargers had like 4 touchdowns going back. It was.
You know what else though was very interesting to see this. So in the first game, I didn't really react too much, right? Because the game blew out. I mean, I didn't blow out. It shot out right against Tampa. I'm talking about the Cowboys. I'm talking about actually. So week 1, Cowboys Bucks game shot out. I didn't think nothing of it. I realized against the Chargers that the Cowboys are trying to play slower. Like they are trying to slow things down. They're trying to run the ball more. They're trying to. The only scenario where they're going to go back to last year's shootout type is when they're losing, and their defense did get a little bit better. I don't think it's good, but it got a little bit better. So like just pointing out there that for the Cowboys, there's nothing to do with the slate, I know, but just keep an eye on the Cowboys because last year it was like automatically stack whoever the Cowboys were playing, and that was the game of the night, but. They are trying to play slower this year. If it's up to them, they're going to try to run a little more, try to kill the clock, all that. The Chargers, however, they're running, bro. Like, they're trying to push that pace. They're trying to keep it going. So that's something to keep an eye out for.
Well, yeah. I think that, like, Dak played good, too. They just happened to run in their touchdowns.
Yeah.
That was it.
Super tilting. Absolutely. All right, Joe. That's going to do it, man. We'll get out of here. I like the format. Leave some comments. Tell us what you think. Make sure you check out our stuff at wisestake.com if you're a Wisestake Nation member. If you're a monthly member or higher, season pass, etc., you can get into the Slack chat. Come talk to us. Sunday mornings, we've been trying to get up in there and talk a little bit to the nation. Trying to get the Slack chat rolling again. Joe, anything in closing before we get up out of here?
No, man. It's week 3. It's going. Week's flying by again, so... Good luck this week, guys.
For Patio Joe, for myself, the entire Wisestake Nation, as always, good luck.
Peace.